Here's 10 tips that everybody needs to know for Helldivers 2 in under 10 minutes. I'd like to take a second at the beginning of this video to let everybody know I'm doing a giveaway. One lucky subscriber will be receiving a copy of the game. So if you're not subscribed, you're going to want to do that right away to get into it. But I'll go into more detail at the end of the video because in order to get 10 tips in under 10 minutes, we got to be quick about it. So let's dive right on into it. Starting with tip number 1. I teased at this tip last week, so let's start out with it this week. When trying to take down groups of tanks, hulks, chargers, or titans, forming a weapons team can make quick work of them, but ranged enemies can interfere with the reloading animation. To avoid this, you'll want the person who's carrying the weapon to fill their backpack slot with a personal shield. Similar to a tactical hug, this will protect the person reloading the weapon to ensure efficient elimination of the enemies of managed democracy. Working together as a unit is critical on harder difficulties, and my next tip is another one that will require cooperation with your team. Tip number 2. The mech is the first vehicle stratagem to hit the game. And not only is it fun, I think that it is well balanced. The slow movement with limited ammunition means that you'll have to think critically on when you deploy it. But if you're strategic, it can be useful even after it runs out of ammo. More so against the bugs and the bots, but let's stay on topic. Your friends can use the jump pack or a ledge to climb on top, and the two of you can become a mobile weapons platform. Just be careful, the results can be explosive, but cowardice is treason, so don't be afraid of this. Now we're gonna hop on to our next tip. Tip number 3. This third tip is actually going to be 2 tips that oppose each other. You see, when it comes to where you land at the beginning of each mission, there are 2 trains of thought. There are the people who focus on getting in and out as quickly as possible while accomplishing side objectives along the way. These people like to land close to those side objectives so that they can efficiently execute all of them, ending their mission at extract. In stark contrast, there are the main objective focused people. They want to land as close as they can to the first steps of the mission so that they can accomplish the goal early. Then they spend the rest of their time mopping up the side objectives. My tip is to pick one of these at the start and stay on task. But let me know which mindset you think is best in the comments down below. Arguments are great for engagement, so be as disagreeable as possible. However, my next tip is to help prevent arguments among your friends with tip number 4. It's a PvE game. There's not a ton of reason to get too upset with your friends. And if a friend gets really upset with you, they might have something else going on, so go ahead and check in with them. Anyways, in my last video, I did what's the best weapon stratagem in the game. I had a few people upset about where I ranked the arc thrower. And to be clear, I don't think there's a bad weapon stratagem in the game. Well, except for maybe the anti-material rifle, but that might be a skill issue. The arc thrower might be the best single player's tool against the Terminides, the bugs. It can deal with any situation, and if somebody that you know is using it, let them take point. You cannot be killed by the arc thrower if you are behind the person using it. This can also be said for the flamethrower and these other area of effect weapons like the grenade launcher. And if you do get killed by a friend, it happens to all of us. Don't take anything out on them. But what you'll want to be in front of is tip number 5. Ever since Arrowhead brought down the health on the charger's head, they have been much easier to deal with. But if you don't have the recoilless rifle or the expendable anti-tank rocket, I have another tip to help you deal with them. I've already suggested the jump pack in a previous video, so I'm not going to say it again. This tip is to charge the charger. Pick one of its 2 legs and run right past it. Their turn radius is pretty good, but not that good. You'll be able to run right by him, turn around, and pop a few rounds in his butt. And if you have grenades, don't forget to use them. Of course, if you're playing with friends, one of them is going to want to kite them. Splitting up is not suggested on harder difficulties, and I'm going to get into why with tip number 6. Splitting up might seem like a great way to cover more ground, but I'm here to tell you that's not a good idea if you're playing above level 7 difficulty. There's a lot of interesting takes online about how patrols work, so I actually had to spend a lot of time researching this tip. These packs spawn near points of interest and around the map. Each of these groups act independently from one another, and each of them has their own cooldowns on alerts. Splitting up means that you'll trigger multiple of these patrols alerts, and if any of your teammates run, they risk leading one of these independent groups into another. Once these patrols merge, it makes it impossible to keep track of the groups and when they trigger alerts. If you get 3 or 4 of these patrols together, you are going to get overwhelmed. To make this math worse, certain objectives, like extract, starts an alert that is separate from these patrols alert. So stick together, work as a team, stay on top of taking out these patrols so that there'll be fewer reinforcements in the map. However, getting overwhelmed is going to happen. So tip number 7 is going to help you out with that. Once you've unlocked all of the stratagems, the game really changes for you. Extracting with samples becomes your main objective. Of course, there's the community, making an impact on the major order, and having fun with friends. However, upgrading your ship will always be your own personal goal. In order to do this, you'll want to drop all of the samples you've collected at extraction when you get the chance to. This way, when you get overwhelmed, you won't lose track of them. I've had to tell people that I left them there on purpose multiple times, and it's funny every time. So from now on, if you see samples at extraction, don't pick them up until extraction begins. The longer the mission goes on, the more difficult it becomes. So this next tip will help you get in and out as soon as possible. Tip number 8. This tip will help you avoid doing the worst thing that you can do in the game: reading the propaganda towers. Take these out at a distance. You can use any type of explosive to do this. Rockets, stratagems, and even grenades will save your time. Of course, you can always use an autocannon too. That thing can destroy everything that isn't heavily armored. Blowing these propaganda towers up at a distance is the second most patriotic thing you can do. The first being liberating that like button to spread managed democracy to every corner of the galaxy. But I think you get how important it is to destroy propaganda towers. So let's get right on into tip number 9. In my last quick tips video, I told you all about these loot containers with a bunch of goodies inside of them. Now I'm modifying this tip to let you know that you don't need to waste a grenade to open them. The arc thrower is a wonderful utility weapon, and the new arc shotgun is interesting. Both of these can be used to crack open these containers, but the weapon that surprised me the most was the heavy laser. Small lasers can't open these puppies, but big ones can. That was a quick one, because before we get to tip number 10, I wanted to get into the giveaway contest real fast. I'm gonna give away a free copy of the game to a subscriber who likes and comments on the video. I will be comparing the comments on this video to my subscriber list to qualify them, and we're gonna rely on the honor system for the like button. The winner will be selected on Friday. And now for the real deal. I've had so many people commenting on my videos saying this, so I'm gonna let everybody know. Did you forget to grab your grenades before you got into your hell pod this morning? There's no need to fear. There are multiple alternative methods to close bug holes and to destroy automatons manufacturers. You can drop almost any orbital inside of these to close them, including turrets, drop pods, resupplies, and even your SOS beacon. Closing the bug holes as fast as possible is critical. I cannot stress this enough. It is so much fun to kill bugs, but it will never stop, and you will never succeed if you don't stop them from spawning. So let's wrap it up there. Like, subscribe, all the things that I'm supposed to say, but mostly I just hope that you have a wonderful day. Here's some more content of mine that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy.